So friends, in the last lecture we have seen improper integral. There we discussed about improper integrals of first kind, improper integrals of second kind. After discussing about these two kinds of improper integrals, we have seen some of the illustrations. How can we identify whether it is of first kind or whether it is of second kind? And then also we have seen some of the examples based on improper integrals of first kind. Now let us see more examples based on improper integrals. Okay. Now let us see one more example. Evaluate minus infinity to minus 2 e raised to x dx. Okay, so here evaluate, that means we will have to find out some value. Okay, and if value is available, we say that it is convergent. Okay. So in the solution, we will, it is very simple solution. Directly write down I equal to, here limit t to minus 2, t tends to minus infinity, e raised to x dx. Okay, it is very clear to you as per the last lecture. So we will have limit t tends to minus infinity. We know that integration of e raised to x is e raised to x itself. So it is t to minus 2. This is lower limit, it is upper limit. So limit t tends to minus infinity, and you always write down in this proper way. Once again I am telling you. So x equal to minus 2, so it is e raised to minus 2. Then we will put t, so minus sign will be there, e raised to t. Okay. So now what will happen? We put the limit t tends to minus infinity. E raised to minus 2 will remain as it is because there is no t. Then here is minus e raised to t. T is minus infinity. And as we discussed in the last lecture that e raised to minus infinity is 0. So its answer is e raised to minus 2. So it is the value. So we can also say that therefore I is convergent. Okay. So it is very simple to understand this example. Okay. Now here we will see those examples. Okay, have you understood this? And I think you must have noted all these steps. So up to now we have seen the examples based on when the upper limit is infinity, when the lower limit is infinity. Okay. Now let us see the examples when both the limits of integration are infinite. That means minus infinity and here is infinity. So to solve this example, here we cannot solve it directly. We will have to divide this integration into two sub-integrals. That means the first integral we will have to divide into from minus infinity to 0 f of x dx plus 0 minus infinity to 0, then 0 to infinity f of x dx. So here it is very clear that we cannot integrate this directly. That means it is not advisable. We must subdivide this into two types of integration. One is from minus infinity to 0 and second is from 0 to infinity. Here one more thing here, remember that we can also write the limits from minus infinity to 1 plus 1 to infinity or minus infinity to 2 to infinity. We can write. No problem. You can subdivide into two integrals in any way, but this should be minus infinity and this two should be infinity, and both these two numbers must be same. But here we are using, it is advisable to put here 0. Because after integration, if we put the value x equal to 0, then we can find out the value very easily instead of assuming the other kind of numbers. So we will assume this integration as I1 and this integration as I2, and this is our I, main integration. So this integration we want to check actually whether it is convergent or divergent, and if both I1 and I2 are convergent, both convergent, then I is convergent. Okay? If both are convergent, then I is convergent. Otherwise, it is divergent. Otherwise, I is divergent. That means, if I1 and I2 both are divergent, then also it is divergent. If I1 is divergent and I2 is convergent, then also it is divergent. If I1 is convergent, I2 is divergent, then also it is divergent. That means for convergent, both should be convergent. If at least one of these two is divergent, I is divergent. So you must note down this. Okay? Now, we want to see more thing on this kind of integration, because this is very, it draws very good attention. Here, to solve this first part, we will have to write down limit as t to 0, t tends to minus infinity, f of x dx, plus this as limit 0 to t, f of x dx, and this as t tends to infinity. So here you can see that both limits are different. Here t tends to minus infinity, here t tends to infinity. Okay, t tends to infinity. So we can find out these two limits, and as I told you, if both are convergent, we say that the integration is also convergent. Okay, but one thing here, you must have to be sure that the integration I equal to minus infinity to infinity f of x dx, if we write down this as a common thing, that means if I will write down limit, here suppose I will put minus b and here b, and b tends to infinity, then also it represents the same problem, because b tends to infinity, so it is minus infinity, b tends to infinity, so it is infinity f of x dx. Okay? So you may be thinking that both are looking same, so why we are subdividing this? And why we are not using the single step? Yes, there is a big attention over here, because this is the proper way and this is the real way of checking whether this is convergent or divergent. This is not the real and proper way, because here in this problem the answer may be there. But if answer of this one is possible, then answer of this one may not be possible. That means if we get its value may or may not be there. You must be clear. But if the value of this is not possible, then the value of this also not possible. But one thing you note that value, this has the value, this may have the value, but this may or may not have the value. But if it has value, if it has answer, then it always has answer. It always has answer. If it has answer, then it always has answer. But the converse is not true. That means if it has answer, it may or may not have the answer. Okay? So this is the real way and this is the another way. So we will call this integration b tends to infinity as Cauchy, actually Cauchy Some will pronunciate this as Cauchy. You may call it in any way, whatever you like. But real sense of speaking this is Cauchy. Okay, Cauchy principal value. Principal value. So this is known as Cauchy principal value. So we will write down before of this as PV. I equal to PV of minus infinity to infinity can be solved in a single step integration. Okay. So here whenever you are asked to solve this integration, then you always solve this in this way. But if you are asked to solve by using this, you can do it. That means if you are asked to find out principal value, PV means principal value. Actually CPV should be written, but simply we will write down this as principal value. Actually here one more thing here will be done that. If you write down minus infinity, then you can write down here infinity. So it will become minus infinity. Both are same thing. But as previously we have seen the examples where we use t tends to minus infinity. So we write down here t. Okay. Because if we write down here t, suppose minus t, infinity, and here minus t, then both limits represent t tends to infinity. T tends to infinity. So some will do that it is t tends to infinity. So both you will take common and both integrations you will write down in this way, minus infinity to 0 plus 0 to t. So this is the same thing. Minus b to b. This is the same thing. No difference is there. No difference is there. So always try to practice to write down this as t tends to minus infinity and this as t tends to infinity. Otherwise you can also use this as t1 and this as t2. So as there is no confusion. There is no confusion. Okay. So how this problem arises? To understand this in a proper way, let us consider one example. Suppose we want to find out the integration I equal to minus infinity to infinity x dx. Very simple example. Because in examination you may also be asked to give the value of f of x, for which it is not possible. So you can assume this as f of x equal to x. Okay. So if this is, then I will write down this into two integrals plus 0 to infinity x dx. Okay. So this I will write down as limit t tends to minus infinity. So it will be, we have it will be t to 0 x dx plus this as limit t tends to infinity 0 to t x dx. So what will happen? This is limit t tends to minus infinity. It has the integration x square by 2. It is t to 0 plus this is limit of t tends to 0 infinity. It is again x square by 2. Integrations are very simple, but the understanding is very difficult. So what will happen? This equal to limit t tends to 0 in minus infinity. We put 0, so it is 0 by 2 means 0 minus t square by 2. Okay, plus limit t tends to infinity. What is this value? T square by 2. T square by 2 minus 0, because if we put this 0, x equal to 0, it will become 0. So now if we put here minus infinity, t equal minus infinity, then 0 is 0. This is minus infinity whole square means it is infinity, and infinity by 2 is again infinity, so it is minus infinity. Plus here t tends to infinity, so infinity square is again infinity, infinity by 2 is infinity, and 0 is no impact. So we are getting minus infinity plus infinity. That means it is actually infinity minus infinity, and this is indeterminate. In the limit, indeterminate forms, in the examples of limit, we have seen this kind of case, infinity minus infinity. It has no fixed value. You cannot write this as 0. This is indeterminate. This is indeterminate. And therefore we say that I is divergent. And this is the exact measurement of the example and exact prediction of this example. Okay? Now, let us understand the same problem in another way. That means, see here, by considering finding PV, what will happen that let us see. PV of this one is limit, we will write down here minus b, here we will write down b, and b tends to infinity. Here you can also write down t if you want. That means minus t to t, t tends to infinity. X dx. B tends to infinity, its integration is x square by 2 minus b to b. So limit t tends to infinity, b tends to infinity. This is b square by 2 minus sign is there, and here minus b. So minus b whole square is b square by 2. So b square by 2 and b square by 2 is cancelled. So this is limit b tends to 0, infinity, it is 0. So its answer is 0. That means this integration has the value you can see, but the original one has not the value, because these two have been separated and these two have been mixed up. So these two have been cancelled over here. Okay, and that's why we have obtained answer 0. That's why I told you that PV, principal value, may exist, but this may or may not exist. But if this value exists, then always principal value will exist. So you must have understood the difference between the principal value and the actual value of the integration. Okay. So if you have noted this one, then I will erase it. Okay. All of you write down this one. Okay, now I will erase it out, rub it out. Now, let us say one comparison test. Here again, comparison test. Here again the proof of this is not required, but this test is very much useful for us when we want to find out conversions of some integration, some improper integration, and if it is very difficult to integrate a function. If we are able to integrate a function, then there is no problem. Then you can proceed directly without doing anything as usual. But if integration is difficult, then we need some more idea, some more fundamentals to put the integration into simplified form, so we can achieve our goal. Okay? So here comparison test is very much available. And suppose we want to find out the integration of a to infinity f of x dx, and here you note that this comparison test is applicable only in this kind of integral a to infinity, not in the case of minus infinity to a, or minus infinity to b, or minus infinity to minus infinity. Only for a to infinity it is applicable, and here you note that a greater than 0. So suppose if we are asked to check whether this integration is convergent or divergent, if integration of this is possible, you can follow directly, you can do it directly, but integration is not easy to do in a simple way, then we will make the use of another integral. This is given, and this is we want to use I2 equal to integration, same limit we will consider a to infinity but another function, same limit but another function, and this we will have to use from our on side. That means we will use the function gx whose convergence or divergence is known to us. In advance, we must be knowing whether I2 is convergent or not. Yes, I1 we don't know, because this is what that we are going to check. This is what that we are going to solving, and for this we are taking the reference of I2, and we already know the nature of I2. Nature of I2 means whether it is convergent or divergent. Okay, we already know this. Here again a greater than 0. Okay, this is convergent or divergent, we know about it, and that's why I told you in the last lecture. That means when I have shown to you the p integral, that means integration from a to infinity 1 upon x raised to p dx. Okay, where here also I have considered a greater than 0. You may be knowing or you may have observed. So this is convergent when p greater than 1, and this is divergent when p less than or equal to 1. So I told you that you must remember this result, because we know very well about its convergence or divergence due to this theorem. So this kind of integration here we will make use to know the nature of I1. Okay. So to do this, now this is what we want to know, and this is what we know. We know it, and this we want to know. Okay. So for that we will obtain gx in such a way that fx is approximately equal to gx. This is approximation. F of x must be approximately equal to gx into c. C is some constant. Constant is allowed in some multiple. Okay. So fx is, and here you notice c is not equal to 0, because if it is 0 then fx is equivalent to 0, then there is we cannot predict anything. So c is not equal to 0 if fx is equivalent to gx. But these two should be approximately equal only when x tends to infinity, that means near to infinity. So if this is x axis, this is y axis. So if f of x has this graph, and if g of x has this graph, suppose, so you can see that fx near to this point, gx is not near to fx, but when x tends to infinity, if these are becomes closer, near to infinity, if these are becomes closer, then we say that fx is approximately equal to gx. Okay, so nearby up to some values, positive values 1000, 100, 1010 or whatever it is, up to some positive value, if it is they have far distance, then there is no problem. But when x is very large, x tends to infinity means when x is very large, if they are tending to equal with some constant multiple, then we say that they are approximately equal. Okay, and then we can make use of this theorem. Otherwise we cannot make the use of this theorem. So let us see this by considering one example. Suppose we want to check, here the example is that check the convergence of integration 4 to infinity. Simple example, let us see 3x plus 5 upon x raised to 4 plus 7 dx. Okay. So here in this example you can see that the function is 3x plus 5 upon x raised to 4 plus 7. The integration is very difficult for us to do. If you are able to do the integration, there is no problem. You can do directly without doing anything, without following any theorem or any comparison test like this. But here we can see the integration is very difficult. So we will make some another idea. We will assume x raised to 4 plus 7 in solution. Let f of x equal to this one, and we want to find out its approximate function with some constant multiple. And here I will keep some space blank. As x tends to infinity, near infinity, this I want to find out near function near to this one, when x tends to infinity. And we know that 3x plus 5 is very near to 3x after infinity, after very large number, because if you consider very large number, then 5 is negligible there. 5 is negligible there. Similarly here, x raised to 4 plus 7 is very near to x raised to 4 near infinity, because 7 is no effect on this. So this is equal to 3 into 1 upon x cube. Okay, so we can say that this is nothing but 3 into gx. So now we can consider this function. Okay, so have you understood this thing? So therefore we have I2 equal to integration gx dx, and limit we will consider same limit we will consider 4 to infinity. That means 4 to infinity. Gx is 1 upon x cube dx. This is what? Convergent or divergent? Yes, it is p integral, and p equal to 3 greater than 1, so it is convergent. So is convergent p integral. Convergent p integral. Okay, and it is convergent, so obviously this integration is convergent. So therefore I1 equal to 4 to infinity 3x plus 5 upon x raised to 4 plus 7 dx is convergent. Okay, because comparison test tells us that where we find out the function gx approximately equal to c into gx, and if c is convergent, fx is also convergent. If gx is divergent, fx is also divergent. Okay, so you must note down this problem and try to solve it. Then we will see another example. Because this chapter is very much important, very simple, the functions are very simple to integrate, nothing more is difficult. You can get the marks very easily, but you follow the steps very properly, you write down all the steps neat and nicely. Okay, so it should look better. Okay. Now let us see one more example. Evaluate integration 5 to infinity. Here 5 over 6 or whatever it is written, because we will want to check the effect near infinity. 5x upon 1 plus x square whole cube dx. Okay, so here again you can see that the integration is slightly difficult. If you don't know the integration, then you can assume f of x, let, you must write down let, because we are assuming 5x upon 1 plus x square whole cube. Now we want to find out its approximate function. So 5x we will keep as it is, because as here you should write down this thing. This is very much important thing. 5x upon, and this is what 1 has no effect, so it is near to x raised to 6. So this is 5 into 1 upon x raised to 5, and this is equal to 5 into gx, and therefore I2 equal to integration 5 to infinity, same limit gx dx equal to integration 5 to infinity. Gx is what now? 1 upon x raised to 5 dx, and this is what? X raised to 5, p equal to 5 greater than 1, so it is convergent. Is a convergent p integral. Okay, and therefore I1 equal to 5 to infinity 5x upon 1 plus x square whole cube dx is also convergent. Okay, convergent. But here in this example I would like to add one more thing, that you can see that this integration 5 to infinity, x is given here and here is x square. So x square is the derivative 2x. So we can, I will take 5 common. I will write down here 2x and divided by 2. 2x divided by 2. So same thing will remain. 1 plus x square whole cube dx. So its integration is possible. Its integration is possible. Okay. Its integration is possible. We can consider this just like as, because you must be knowing that if in integration 1 upon gx is there, and if the derivative of gx is multiplied with it, then we can write down its integration is log of gx. Okay, log of gx if it is in the form of log, or otherwise if it is in the x raised to n form, then we can write down, we can use it as x raised to n plus 1 divided by n plus 1 form. So here its integration is nothing but, because derivative of 1 plus x, 1 is the derivative 0, it is the derivative 2x, this is multiplied. So we can consider simply this as x, that means 1 upon x cube form. And 1 upon x cube has the integration. What is the integration? X raised to minus 3. So minus 2 plus minus 1 upon 2 x square. So this is minus 1 upon 2 1 plus x square whole square. This is considered, this bracket is considered as h. So its integration is this. But before of that, I will have to write down this as 5 by 2 limit t tends to infinity, and here is t, because this is improper integral. So here equal to limit t tends to infinity 5 by 2, here is t. Then you can put here t square, and 1 upon t, 1 upon infinity is 0, and then you will find out a value. So you can do this part. You can also, but no need to do in example both the kinds. You can solve this directly by using this one, because here we want whether it is convergent or divergent. Otherwise you can, if you know, as I told you that if you know the integration, you can also do it very simply. Now let us see one more example, so that check the convergence of integration of 0 to infinity e raised to minus x square dx. So here you can see it is very interesting problem, because you must have to focus on the problem, then you can solve. Solution is no doubt easy, but before solving you must get idea, because there are some hidden facts are there. Here e raised to minus x square. Yes, integration of e raised to minus x is easy to do, but here is x square, so integration is not easy in this case. So we want to use comparison test. comparison test, but e raised to equivalent function of e raised to minus x square is also not easy to obtain, because if we find out equivalent function gx, but this its conversion should also be known to us, no? Because by p integral test we know the convergence of integration of 1 upon x raised to b. For other functions we not know directly. And one more thing here, you note that if we want to use comparison test, then lower limit 0. But as I told you that lower limit a must be greater than 0. So here this integration I, first always you write down I, because if you used to write down this as I, then no need to write down in other steps the integration repeatedly. You can write down that I directly. E raised to minus x square dx. So I will divide this into two parts, 0 to 1 e raised to minus x square dx plus 1 to infinity e raised to minus x square dx. Okay? Simply we want to check the convergence. We are not interested in its value. If value is available, then we can say conversion directly. But if value is not available, but without knowing the value, if we know its convergence, then it will do. It's very good. So to get the criteria of a greater than 0, I have converted this into 1. You can also write down 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. Okay? But simple values. But we know that here the limits are 0 to 1. It is e raised to minus x square. It is not discontinuous at any value at 0 and 1 or between 0 and 1, because e raised to minus x square never vanishes. E raised to minus x square is continuous function. Okay? Is a continuous function. So this is always convergent. So we will write down this is I1 plus I2. Here you should write down that I1 is always convergent. Convergent because it is continuous function between 0 and 1. So only we need to focus on I2. Okay? So I2, if I2 will also be convergent, then this is convergent. But if I2 will be divergent, then it will be divergent. So in I2, for I2, here I will write down, now we are checking I2. So to do this I2, here we want to use comparison test. So f of x equal to e raised to minus x square. So it is 1 upon e raised to x square. And we know the series of e raised to x is 1 plus x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 2 factorial plus total. So I will make to use write down this into. Here x is x square. So 1 plus x square. Plus x square means x raised to 4 by 2 factorial plus dot dot dot. Okay? So we know that this is less than or equal to 1 upon 1 plus x square. Because if we divide some number by 15, and if we divide some number by smaller number, 6, then this is always less than. So if we divide 1 by large number, instead if we divide the number by small number, it is less than or equal to. So here this condition can also be applied when this is in this form, f of x less than or equal to c into gx. But as x tends to infinity, here one condition must be there. So here this is equivalent to 1 upon x square less than or equal to as x tends to infinity. Okay? So we will consider this as gx. This is gx. Okay? And one more thing. Again here we want to simplify this. We want to make use of p integral. Then this is equivalent to 1 upon x square as x tends to infinity. 1 has no effect near infinity. And therefore gx equal to 1 upon x square. And therefore our integration 1 upon x square dx, and the limit we will consider the same limit 1 to infinity is convergent. Because p equal to 2 and p greater than 1. And therefore I2, that means this integration I2 is also convergent. Okay? So I1 is there convergent, I2 is also convergent, and therefore I is convergent. Okay? So you can solve the examples in this way. So friends, whatever the examples I have shown to you in this lecture, during the remaining time of the lecture, you have sufficient time to re-practice them. So all of you try to solve all these examples yourself now during the remaining time of this lecture. So the examples whichever we have seen in this lecture, you can get practice of the same examples in this lecture only. So you will be more and more confident with this chapter, with the example and with the method. In the next lecture, we will see more and more examples on improper integral. Then also we will see second type of improper integral. Okay? Thank you.